What if the most captivating people in the world, the ones who effortlessly draw others to them, aren't actually trying to be attractive at all? We live in a society that constantly preaches the gospel of loudness. We are told to speak up, perform, be the life of the party, and chase the spotlight. Social media feeds us a steady diet of generic advice on how to force charisma, script our conversations, and manipulate others into liking us. But if you look closely at the truly magnetic individuals, the top 1% of genuinely attractive people, you will notice they do none of these things. Instead, they possess a quiet, underlying force, silent attraction. While the vast majority of people are exhausting themselves trying to impress others with grand gestures, relentless talking, and attention-seeking antics, the truly magnetic understand a core rule of human psychology. True attraction is never about the performance you put on for the crowd. It is about the person you become in the quiet moments. The most compelling person in a room is rarely the one shouting for attention. It is the individual who naturally anchors the space through their grounded presence, their unshakable energy, and habits deeply rooted in emotional intelligence. These are not pickup lines or corporate networking hacks. They are integrated traits. In this comprehensive guide, we are going to unpack the scientifically proven habits that forge silent magnetism. You will discover why trying too hard is biologically repulsive to others, and how building the correct internal operating system inevitably leads to an irresistible external aura. By the end of this journey, you will know exactly how to draw people to you without ever needing to perform, chase, or compromise your true self. Attraction will no longer be something you do. It will simply be a byproduct of who you are. Chapter 1. The Psychology of Silent Magnetism, the most catastrophic error people make when attempting to increase their social value is focusing entirely on the surface. They obsess over the perfect opening line, the right outfit, or the exact posture to adopt. This completely misses the biological reality of how human beings connect. Attraction does not happen in the logical, conscious brain. It operates in the ancient, primitive regions of our neurology. Silent magnetism works because it speaks directly to these primal instincts. When we cross paths with someone exhibiting genuine emotional stability and social fluency, our subconscious brain instantly lights up. It recognizes these traits as markers of high survival value, genetic fitness, and leadership potential. This calculation takes milliseconds, long before a single syllable is spoken. Neuroscience backs this up profoundly. Research into social cognition demonstrates that our brains are perpetual scanning machines, searching for signals of value in potential allies or mates. This is facilitated by mirror neurons, which unconsciously simulate the emotional states of those around us. When you stand near someone with silent magnetism, your mirror neurons fire. You pick up on their lack of anxiety. You notice their regulated breathing. You sense that their physical movements are deliberate, not jittery. Because they are safe and secure within themselves, your brain realizes you are safe with them. This explains why charismatic leaders and magnetic individuals seem to glide through life effortlessly. They aren't acting, they are embodying their reality. The famous UCLA study by Dr. Albert Mehrabian showed that the actual words we speak account for merely 7% of our communication's emotional impact. A staggering 93% comes from vocal tonality, body language, and physical presence. Yet, most people spend 100% of their time worrying about what to say. The trap is trying to fake this 93%. When you force your shoulders back but feel terrified inside, you create incongruence. The human brain is an expert lie detector when it comes to incongruence. People will feel an unexplainable off, sensation around you. Authentic silent attraction emerges from real self-development, earned confidence, and legitimate competence. As we explore the habits in this book, remember that we are rewiring your nervous system, not just giving you a script. This transformation happens from the inside out. Chapter 2. The foundation of presence and energy management. Before we can build specific social skills, we must pour the concrete foundation: presence and energy management. This is the invisible currency of human interaction. Presence is not about dominating a space. It is about fully inhabiting the current moment. It is the ability to anchor your awareness so completely that others can physically feel your stability. When you are truly present, your nervous system drops into a parasympathetic state, the rest and digest mode. Your breathing slows, your heart rate steadies, and your body language naturally unwinds. This broadcasts a signal of psychological safety to the room. People are unconsciously drawn to this because modern life is chaotic. Most people exist in a state of fractured attention, physically standing in front of you but mentally agonizing over an email or planning their next sentence. This scattered energy is exhausting to be around. To cultivate true presence, you must become a master of your own energy. Your energy is the aggregate of your thoughts, physical state, and emotional regulation. Attractive people do not let external chaos dictate their internal weather. They don't fly off the handle at minor inconveniences or crumble under criticism. This emotional equilibrium is intoxicating to others because it signals reliability. Developing this requires mastering your physiology. Emotions are not just thoughts in your head. They are chemical and physical events in your body. Conscious breathing is your primary remote control for your nervous system. Deep diaphragmatic breathing overrides the stress response. Magnetic people have unconsciously trained themselves to breathe low and slow, maintaining a state of calm alertness. Next is attention control. When you speak to someone, give them the gift of single-pointed focus. In a world starved of attention, being fully looked at and listened to is a rare luxury. When you give someone 100% of your focus, without checking your phone or glancing over their shoulder, they feel an immediate magnetic pull toward you. Combine this with physical awareness, releasing the chronic tension in your jaw, neck, and shoulders, and you create a grounded presence. This groundedness naturally deepens your voice, steadies your eye contact, and makes your movements purposeful. Chapter 3. Mastering strategic silence and deep listening in an era where everyone is screaming to be noticed. The person who embraces strategic silence becomes the most fascinating figure in the room. Silence is not an absence of communication. It is a powerful, active tool that generates influence. First, silence creates a vacuum that invites others to reveal themselves. When you hold a pause without rushing to fill the void, you give people permission to explore their own thoughts deeper than they normally would. Second, silence projects ultimate self-control. People who babble endlessly are usually driven by anxiety. They fear that if they stop talking, they will lose their value. The silent individual proves they do not need to perform to be worthy of taking up space. Third, when you speak less, the words you do choose carry disproportionate weight. The neuroscience of listening is equally compelling. When a human being feels profoundly understood, their brain releases oxytocin, the neurochemical responsible for bonding and trust. Most people are atrocious listeners. They suffer from conversational narcissism, merely waiting for their turn to speak so they can redirect the spotlight back to themselves. Deep listening requires present moment awareness and emotional attunement. You are not just decoding their vocabulary, you are decoding their emotional subtext. Are they masking sadness with humor? Are they projecting frustration because they feel unappreciated? When you validate the emotion beneath the words, the connection becomes unbreakable. This requires suspending your own ego. You must engage with genuine curiosity, completely free of the urge to judge or fix their problems. Often, when someone shares a struggle, they don't want your advice. They want your witness. Learning to sit comfortably in the tension of someone else's discomfort, offering only your grounded presence, is a profound display of emotional maturity. In group settings, the deep listener naturally ascends to the role of conversational leader. Because they process the entire dynamic while others are busy preparing their monologues, their eventual contributions are synthesized, insightful, and highly respected. Chapter 4. The Power of Calm Confidence and Emotional Stability. Calm confidence is the holy grail of attractive traits. It is frequently misunderstood as arrogance or a total absence of fear. In reality, calm confidence is the ability to maintain your center of gravity while experiencing the full spectrum of human emotion. It means you can feel terror without acting terrified. You can feel insulted without becoming reactive. Psychologists refer to this as distress tolerance. From an evolutionary standpoint, a partner or leader who panics under pressure is a liability. Someone who remains functional and clear-headed during a crisis is a massive asset. When you display emotional stability, you are demonstrating advanced functioning of the prefrontal cortex, the brain's command center for impulse control and logic. To build calm confidence, you must stop identifying with your emotions. You are not your anger. You are the awareness experiencing the anger. This is the practice of metacognition, thinking about your thinking. When you create a wedge of awareness between a trigger and your response, you reclaim your freedom. Physical posture plays a massive role here. Adopting an expansive, open posture actively alters your endocrinology, lowering cortisol, the stress hormone, and optimizing testosterone, the confidence hormone. But beyond body language, you must practice stress inoculation. You build emotional muscle the exact same way you build physical muscle, through progressive resistance. You must willingly step into uncomfortable situations, difficult conversations, public speaking, solo travel, and prove to your nervous system that you can survive the discomfort. Crucially, this must be paired with self-compassion. If you brutally criticize yourself every time you fail, you will become too paralyzed to take risks. Calmly confident people speak to themselves with the same grace they would offer a respected friend. They view failure as data, not as an indictment of their self-worth. By accepting that life is inherently uncertain and relinquishing the desperate need to control outcomes, you project a psychological strength that others find deeply reassuring and incredibly attractive. Chapter 5. Developing authentic social intelligence. Social intelligence is the art of reading the invisible currents of human interaction and navigating them with grace. It is the furthest thing from manipulation. It is the application of high-level empathy. Magnetically attractive people do not just blindly impose their personality on a room. They read the room and harmonize with it. This begins with acute emotional awareness. Every social gathering operates on multiple frequencies. There is the explicit conversation, the emotional undercurrent, and the hidden relational dynamics. Highly socially intelligent people possess radar for all three. They notice the micro-expressions that flash across someone's face before they force a polite smile. They hear the slight tremor in a colleague's voice that betrays anxiety. But reading others is only half the equation. You must also read yourself. You must understand your emotional footprint. Does your intense energy intimidate quieter people? Does your sarcasm make others defensive? Emotional intelligence requires the humility to calibrate your output to suit the psychological needs of your audience. This brings us to cognitive empathy, the ability to intellectually understand someone else's worldview, even if you do not emotionally agree with it. When negotiating or resolving conflict, cognitive empathy allows you to validate the other person's reality. Once a person feels their perspective is legitimately understood, their defenses drop, paving the way for collaboration. Social intelligence also means accepting that humans process information differently. Some need blunt directness, others require soft diplomacy. Adapting your style is not being fake. It is an act of conversational hospitality. Furthermore, socially intelligent people handle awkwardness beautifully. When a joke falls flat or a mistake is made, they don't spiral into shame. They use gentle humor and honesty to diffuse the tension, proving their resilience. They understand the law of social reciprocity. They seek to add value, whether through a warm introduction, an insightful comment, or just good energy, without keeping a ledger of what they are owed. Chapter 6. The art of purposeful movement and physical presence. Your physical vessel is a continuous broadcasting station. Long before anyone evaluates your intellect, they evaluate your kinesics, your movement. The science of embodied cognition proves that our physical movements do not merely reflect our mood, they dictate it. Purposeful movement separates the magnetic from the forgettable. The average person moves with a scattered, jerky, or hesitant cadence. Purposeful movement is characterized by 3 pillars: intentionality, fluidity, and groundedness. Imagine a martial artist. Their movements originate from their core, their center of gravity. When you move from your center, rather than leading with your head or moving with peripheral tension, you project a regal, unhurried grace. You must conduct an audit of your chronic tension. Are your shoulders hiking up to your ears? Is your jaw clamped? Consciously releasing this armor signals to the room that you are entirely at ease in your environment. Eye contact is the sharpest tool in your physical toolkit, but it must be wielded with precision. Staring relentlessly is aggressive. Avoiding gaze is submissive. Magnetic eye contact involves holding a gaze to establish connection and trust, breaking it organically to process thoughts, and returning to it to anchor the interaction. Your walking gait also tells a story. The highly attractive walk with a steady, deliberate pace. They do not scurry anxiously to get out of the way, nor do they drag their feet in apathy. They claim the space they need without apology. Even seated, they maintain a relaxed, upright posture that says, "I am engaged, but I am comfortable." Finally, your vocal presence is a physical act. When you breathe shallowly, your voice becomes thin and nasal. When you breathe diaphragmatically, your voice gains a rich, resonant timbre. By slowing your speech to a moderate pace, you communicate that you believe your words are worth waiting for. You aren't rushing to finish before someone interrupts you. This physical and vocal command commands respect before you've even made your point. Chapter 7. Building unshakable inner confidence through competence. We have reached the core engine of silent attraction. Competence. The modern self-help industry peddles a dangerous lie that confidence can be hacked by standing in front of a mirror and chanting affirmations. But your subconscious mind is highly logical. It demands proof. Authentic, unshakable confidence is the byproduct of undeniable competence and a track record of surviving adversity. When you invest years into becoming genuinely highly skilled at something, whether it is coding, woodworking, martial arts, public speaking, or emotional regulation, you forge an armor of self-efficacy. You know, as a matter of empirical fact, that you can learn, adapt, and execute. Building this requires embracing productive discomfort. You must willingly step into arenas where you are the novice. The people with the most magnetic confidence are those who have a rich history of being terrible at something, persisting through the frustration, and achieving mastery. This proves to their psyche that they can handle the unknown. Self-knowledge is the twin pillar to competence. You must intimately understand your virtues and your vices. Magnetic individuals do not suffer from the delusion of perfection. They know what they are terrible at, and they own it without shame. When you stop trying to hide your flaws, you strip others of the power to use them against you. This builds profound emotional resilience. When you view your life as a laboratory, failures are no longer devastating indictments of your character. They are merely negative test results teaching you what doesn't work. As Dr. Carol Dweck outlines, this growth mindset is the ultimate shield against insecurity. By continuously taking calculated risks and pushing the boundary of your comfort zone, you generate a deep, quiet knowing. You no longer need to brag about your achievements because your competence radiates invisibly. People feel your capability, and they are inherently drawn to the safety it provides. Chapter 8. The magnetism of authentic curiosity in a society gripped by the desperate urge to be fascinating. The ultimate hack is to be fascinated. Authentic curiosity about the internal worlds of other human beings is an incredibly rare and intoxicating trait. When you demonstrate genuine interest in someone, you fulfill one of the deepest psychological cravings of the human soul, the desire to be truly seen and understood. Most people approach conversations as transactions. They scan the interaction for what they can extract: status, validation, entertainment. Authentic curiosity flips this dynamic. It operates from a place of profound abundance. To cultivate this, you must adopt an other-focused mental framework. Stop formulating your reply while the other person is speaking. Instead, act like an investigative journalist uncovering a masterpiece. Ask questions that pierce through the mundane surface. Instead of asking, "What do you do for a living?" ask, "What is the most challenging part of your industry?" Or, "What made you choose that path?" This requires emotional courage because genuine curiosity inevitably leads to deeper, more vulnerable territory. You must create a psychological sanctuary for the other person, free of judgment. When someone realizes you are not waiting to criticize them or one-up their story with a better story of your own, they will open up to you in ways they rarely do with anyone else. By treating every human interaction as a masterclass in a subject you know nothing about, you radiate intellectual humility. People are naturally drawn to those who are open, learning, and expanding. Furthermore, when you encourage people to tell their stories, you act as a mirror reflecting their best, most interesting selves back to them. People will absolutely fall in love with the way they feel about themselves when they are around you. Chapter 9. Mastering non-verbal communication and subtle influence. If you want to master human dynamics, you must become fluent in the silent language of the body. Within milliseconds of entering a room, the collective subconscious of that room has already evaluated your threat level, your social status, and your attractiveness based entirely on your nonverbal data. The golden rule of nonverbal magnetism is congruence. If your words say, "I am happy to be here," but your arms are tightly crossed and your feet are pointed toward the exit, the brain registers a lie. The micro-expressions on your face, the split-second flashes of genuine emotion, cannot be permanently faked. This is why manipulating body language without changing your internal state always comes off as creepy or robotic. However, you can consciously cultivate habits that foster congruence. A genuine smile, known as a Duchenne smile, engages the orbicularis oculi muscles around the eyes. A fake social smile only moves the mouth. Cultivating a genuine appreciation for the moment is the only way to produce a real smile. Your gestures act as the punctuation to your presence. Open gestures, showing the palms of the hands, are universally recognized by the human brain as signals of honesty and lack of threat. Sharp, chopping gestures invoke defensiveness. Let your gestures flow organically from your enthusiasm. Subtle influence involves utilizing these nonverbal tools to elevate the energy of a space. It involves mirroring, subtly and naturally adopting the posture or vocal cadence of the person you are speaking with to build unconscious rapport. It involves using proximity and touch appropriately to build warmth. Ultimately, mastery of nonverbal communication is not about becoming a puppet master. It is about ensuring that the best, most authentic version of your internal self has an unobstructed pathway to the external world. Chapter 10. Creating meaningful connections without neediness. Neediness is the ultimate repellent. It is an energetic black hole that drains the life out of any interaction. Neediness occurs when you approach a relationship, romantic, platonic, or professional, with a gaping internal void, demanding that the other person fill it with validation, security, or happiness. Magnetic connections are built on the exact opposite foundation: emotional independence and secure attachment. Emotional independence means you have cultivated your own internal sanctuary. Your happiness, your self-worth, and your purpose are generated internally. Because you do not need the other person to survive emotionally, you are free to actually want them. This paradigm shift moves you from a state of scarcity to a state of abundance. You can practice generous curiosity. You can give compliments without fishing for them in return. You can support others without building a covert contract of emotional debt. Crucial to this is the concept of differentiation, the ability to remain entirely yourself while in close proximity to someone else. Needy people shape-shift. They abandon their hobbies, change their opinions, and morph their personalities to perfectly match whoever they are with, terrified that disagreement will lead to abandonment. This destroys the very friction and polarity that creates attraction. Healthy connection requires the courage to disagree, to maintain your boundaries, and to say no. It requires healthy vulnerability, sharing your authentic self without demanding that the other person rescue you from your feelings. When you drop your hidden agendas and stop trying to extract validation from every interaction, people feel a profound sense of relief in your presence. They realize they are free to just be themselves, which is the most intoxicating environment you can provide for another human being. Chapter 11. Reading social dynamics and navigating group interactions. The highest tier of social intelligence is the ability to walk into a room, instantly decode the invisible web of relationships, and navigate it flawlessly. This is the realm of the social maestro. Every group is an ecosystem. There are formal leaders with titles, and there are informal leaders who actually control the emotional weather of the room. To read these dynamics, you must zoom out and develop social situational awareness. Stop agonizing over your own performance and become an observer. Who speaks the most? Who does everyone look at after a joke is told to see if it's okay to laugh? Where are the unspoken tensions? Understanding informal power is critical. The person with the most influence is rarely the loudest. They are the one with the most social capital. By identifying these individuals and engaging them with respect, you integrate into the group's hierarchy seamlessly. Furthermore, you must identify the emotional baseline of the group. Is the energy frantic, cynical, playful? If you walk into a somber, serious meeting with loud, aggressive humor, you will be rejected like a virus. You must calibrate to the room's frequency before you attempt to elevate it. This requires understanding group roles. Are you needed as a challenger, a peacemaker, or a supportive listener in this specific context? Strategic positioning means applying your unique strengths to serve the group's current deficit. If an argument is brewing, a socially magnetic person uses tact, humor, and cognitive empathy to de-escalate the tension, providing an off-ramp for people to save face. By becoming the person who makes the group function better, who elevates the collective mood without demanding the throne, you accrue massive, undeniable social magnetism. Chapter 12. Sustaining attractiveness through continuous growth. Attraction has an expiration date if it relies entirely on a static set of traits. The most common tragedy of self-improvement is treating it as a destination. People work hard to get the job, get the partner, or build the network, and then they stop. They coast, and inevitably their magnetism decays. The people who remain undeniably compelling decade after decade share one trait: an absolute commitment to continuous, lifelong evolution. From an evolutionary perspective, stagnation is death. We are biologically wired to be drawn to vitality, expansion, and adaptability. When you are continuously upgrading your mind, your skills, and your perspectives, you remain a mystery. You remain dynamic. This must be driven by intrinsic motivation. If you are learning a language or reading philosophy just to look smart at dinner parties, the friction will eventually stop you. You must fall in love with the process of becoming. This growth must be holistic. Physical vitality is the bedrock. Maintaining your health, fitness, and energy is a daily demonstration of self-respect and discipline. Intellectual growth keeps your conversations sharp and prevents dogmatic, boring thinking. Emotional growth, perhaps through therapy, meditation, or deep introspection, ensures you do not carry the unresolved trauma of your past into your future relationships. Creative outlets provide a space where you are the master of your own domain, generating passion that spills over into your social life. By regularly setting goals that stretch your capabilities and routinely auditing your life through honest self-reflection, you ensure that the version of you people interact with today is vastly superior to the version they met a year ago. This constant state of becoming is the ultimate aphrodisiac to the world. Chapter 13. Handling rejection, criticism, and social setbacks. Nothing separates the pretenders from the genuinely attractive like the crucible of rejection and criticism. How you behave when you are denied what you want is the truest litmus test of your character. Biologically, rejection hurts because tribal exclusion once meant death. Our brains panic, but the socially elite have trained their prefrontal cortex to override this ancient panic. They understand a fundamental truth. Rejection is rarely a referendum on your absolute value as a human being. It is simply a lack of alignment. It is about timing, context, and the other person's highly specific psychological baggage. When you internalize this, you stop taking rejection as a lethal wound to your ego. You process the disappointment, but you do not become bitter, hostile, or defensive. The same applies to criticism. While the average person treats criticism as an attack and immediately throws up a shield of excuses, the magnetic individual leans in with curiosity. They mine the criticism for data. Is there 10% of truth in what this person is saying that I can use to become better? By responding to criticism with intellectual humility rather than childish defensiveness, you disarm your critics and win the profound respect of onlookers. When you inevitably commit a social faux pas or experience a humiliating setback, the key is cognitive flexibility. Do not catastrophize a single awkward moment into a life sentence of social ruin. Acknowledge the mistake, apply appropriate, self-deprecating humor if necessary, apologize if warranted, and move on. Your ability to bounce back from embarrassment without spiraling into shame signals a robust, anti-fragile psyche. It tells the world that you are unbreakable. Chapter 14. Becoming a person others seek out. When you stack these habits, emotional regulation, deep listening, purposeful presence, and resilient growth, you cross a threshold. You graduate from trying to fit in to becoming a gravitational center. You become a person others actively hunt for. This is the manifestation of positive emotional contagion. Because you have done the grueling internal work to manage your own shadow, your baseline energy is clean, grounded, and uplifting. When people enter your orbit, their own nervous systems regulate. They literally feel better, lighter, and more capable when they are around you. You practice unconditional positive regard. You look at people and accept them exactly as they are, without the exhausting pressure of trying to change them. This profound acceptance creates a psychological safe haven. Furthermore, you practice social generosity. You are a connector of people, a sharer of resources, and a generator of good moods. You don't hoard your value. You distribute it freely because you operate from endless abundance. You provide intellectual and emotional stimulation by daring to have conversations that matter, bypassing the weather and the weekend plans to talk about fears, dreams, and philosophies. You become a social leader, not by demanding compliance, but by taking responsibility for the vibe of the room. You are authentically yourself, imperfections included, which gives everyone else the silent permission to drop their heavy masks. When you become this type of person, your phone doesn't stop ringing. Opportunities seek you out. You become a magnet in the truest sense of the word. Chapter 15. Integration and mastery. We have reached the summit. The ultimate goal of this journey is not to give you a heavy backpack of attractive tricks to carry around and deploy in social situations. The goal is unconscious competence. Mastery is achieved when these habits dissolve into your very identity. You no longer do active listening. You simply are an exceptional listener. You no longer practice good posture. Your body naturally rests in a state of confident expansion. This integration demands authentic self-expression. You must strip away the layers of societal conditioning and people-pleasing that have obscured your true nature. It requires the courage to let your authentic self be seen, knowing that while not everyone will like you, the right people will be intensely drawn to you. It requires shifting your entire paradigm of self-worth from external validation to internal satisfaction. You stop asking, "Do they like me?" and start asking, "Do I like them? Am I proud of how I showed up today?" Ultimately, silent attraction is the highest form of service. It is the realization that by developing your own emotional maturity, your strength, and your presence, you are offering the world a better, safer, more inspiring human being to interact with. You become attractive because you are genuinely a source of light and stability in a dark and chaotic world. When you reach this level of mastery, you never have to chase anyone or anything ever again. You stand still, anchored in your truth, and the world naturally, inevitably comes to you.